with a very strong personality, and she frequently would say during the last years of her life, "One day I am going to write a book called The Real Yogananda." And she was living at the SRF headquarters, and everyone would panic at the thought of what she might write, because she was the type of person she was. And also because they wished that a public image of Yogananda be created that would supposedly fit in with people's spiritual ideas, and just also with the image, as I say, that they wanted people to have of him. So there are a lot of stories that people have never heard because of the intention that Yogananda be sort of a cross between St. Francis and St. Teresa of Avila, rather than the very unique personality that Yogananda had. So here are some things that were told to me by direct disciples of Yogananda who were there when these incidents took place that you might find interesting. Some devotees were visiting here at our monastery, and one evening I just started telling these stories, and here they are. I remember Vivekananda told us that for a while he was in Encinitas, and they really missed being with Yogananda naturally up on Washington. And he said then the word would come, and they'd say, "Master's come." And they'd think, "Oh boy." And they'd hurry and they'd finish their work, and then a whole group of them, usually the young men, they would come underneath Yogananda's window at Encinitas, and they'd say, "Open your window, open, come to your window, come, we're waiting out here." Nothing. They'd keep calling, nothing. And then when finally they thought, well, okay, he must be in the room, and they started just to move eternity, the window would fly open and a paper bag of water would come out. There's one birthday, people coming for pranayam Yogananda in the line at the end, you know? And this man started saying, "You are my guru, I know you will see me." I mean, carrying on and on, making a spectacle of Yogananda. And then later on, this had been in the daytime, it wasn't the evening. Later on, the man was kind of walking around outside, and Yogananda came to the window in his room. And he lifted the window and he said, "Oh, please come and stand right down here below. There's something I want to give you." And the man said, "Sure." And he came back with a paper bag of water and dropped it all over him. And the man never came back. There was a really pretty big tree there at Mount Washington headquarters, and people going up the front door would have to go by it. And the Yogananda, he was behind the tree, he up, so he was water. He had a hose in the water, and he'd wait, and when he'd hear somebody walking, he wouldn't see him. He'd put the hose around the tree, you know, and soak him real good. And so there was another one just standing with him. And so he heard some people coming, and he did that, and he hears this woman screaming, he looks up, and then there are these real posh people, and she's got a fur coat on, and she's soaking wet, and he shoves the holes in the mud and said, "You old son of a go." And he ran around the garage, and they came and saw the monk, and they were standing right behind him, and Yogananda comes out the front and says, "What happened to you?" Oh, he It meant a hotel. They had a lot of sofas and things. Faith said, Master, when he was in the mood, would sit in there, and visitors would come and he'd sometimes talk. She said, if somebody had hats, men used to wear those hats all the time when I was a kid. And said he'd take it and he'd just mess it, and he'd stick it on his head, and he'd start staggering around, and he would play he was drunk. And he'd go for it. She said he would just laugh and laugh and laugh, and he'd talk to people, and she said it was just the funniest thing imaginable. Paramahansayogananda told me himself, he said one time, around Christmas time, Master took a bunch of monks to some big department store in LA. And they had a really pretty big-sized tricycle, So he said for 3 hours, Master rode this all around the LA department, ringing the bell at people and in and out of ways. And he said, of course, the real disciples were good, the others were right. Well, I can tell you two interesting stories. One time he went into a store. I expect you heard about it. Somewhere, I guess it was in LA. He was a solid money, and he went into the store, and he said, I don't want your money. Because they have it. But they took all the money on Master had, and he set it all in that store.
So the man cried, and when they got out in the car, Yogananda said, do you know that man had no money at all? He and his family didn't even have anything to eat. And because we came here today, they're going to have something to eat and a little more for the future.
Okay, well, let me tell you another one. He said to most of the nuns, we're going to Encinitas, and I want you to make a good impression. So I want you to wear suits, women did in those days, and I want you to have your hair fixed, and I want you to look really impressive. So they did. And I mean, there were 3 or 4 carlos, and they were all jammed up. And so there they were, all fixed up on his knee. There wasn't any particular event. So he said, on the way to Encinitas, there was a man selling watermelons out of a truck. So Master, I think Nimira told this. I mean, I heard from one of the ones that were involved. And anyway, so he had him cut the watermelon into those great big things in quarters. And he gave each one a quarter. And he said, now, go stand, and I want your feet touching the concrete. Go stand at the highway. Imagine 66 and the cars going by. And he said, I want your feet touching the concrete. And now, you eat that watermelon. So here are these women, their hair's all curled, and they got their fancy clothes and they're here, and the man just holding on. And they did it. And then they went on to Encinitas, looking like wrecks. So anyway, when they got there, the Master said, that man had nothing that was selling the watermelons. And because we bought those watermelons, and you ate them, in fact, he said, do you remember the man was selling watermelons? That was a very rhetorical question. And that was it. And he did that. Do you know why Master never drove a car after a while? No. He was a speed demon. When he first came to California, see, Master really was basically a raw Christian mission lawman. In other words, the great influence in his life to Mexico was the man who wrote the Gospel chapters. And I mean, he spent hours and hours and days and days and days with it. Oh, people pronounce this famous one, the real spiritual son, the more perfect image of Sri Krishna Swami Ramananda. I never heard of it. And Yogananda would go to their mother, and Brahmananda would always say, Mukunda is one of us. And if you really, when you go through the lessons and all the parables and everything, the lessons, they all come from Sri Ramakrishna. That's what I made. So you see, there was a young man, he was only 18 years old, and Vivekananda gave sannyas and gave him Paramahansa. You know what's on Paramahansa? And it's beautiful, most beautiful I've ever seen in America. He was a very quiet, in-law, very, gentle person. But he made this really beautiful place, and, a lot of people came there. He had an ashram boss, just called the boss of the Dada Center, and then you class, which still exists. He went out there and started another ashram. And it was built, and so when Master went to California, he stayed at another ashram with Paramahansa, because they were good friends. And first of all, he had to have problems with diet. I had a problem one night where we went, the mother's 75th birthday, and Putnam diet people told me, if you mix this and mix that, you get a true yellow color, and it came out red. And then we had to wear them. So we showed up in Indian red like a tantric, So I don't know who done the diet, but Master had red clothes. Red, silk, red, and turban and everything. And he had, of course, a work heart. And so the nuns would remember, they were, some people, just have little mice. And then they say, Paramahansa, we remember when he lived there, he broke the speed limit all the time. Apparently, he'd get in the car, gun, and go, down the gate, and he would do this. And of course, the world was wearing red clothes. So they were all there wearing this groovy. Except for Paramahansa's real disciples who were very Master, but the hangers on. Anyway, Master really did. He floored and he. So one time, Master came virtually head on to a little old rickety truck driven by some Mexicans. They had a ton of kids, and the kids were in the back, under the bed, and he was underneath. So I'm trying to think who told me this. Again, one of the disciples. And Master realized he was going to hit him, and he said, Mother, I won't drive again if they're all right. And he hit them, crashed, and these kids went every which way, and so on, and they were totally completely. So Master never drove, But until then, I remember Sister Durga saying, oh, Master got like the wheel. I know Ridley was in. One night, Master was really late for a Sunday lecture, and it was supposed to start in something like hardly 10 minutes, and they were about Washington, and they had to get down to Hollywood. And so they started down, and they pulled on the freeway, and Master said, everybody close your eyes, and that's you too, to the driver. Literally. Durga was in the car. And then they all closed their eyes, and in just a moment, Master said, open them. And they were pulling up.